and disconnection fee and the non-metered backflow leak charge, that those are related to the example that Chelsea talked about. And I do still need to clarify some things with Tony regarding those areas.
So Tony hasn't seen this, so these will be vetted
It does
through,
say
they'll be vetted through him prior to any public hearing, but again, no. So if, again, if you guys have comments or any suggestions. Or any
A lot of stuff I never would have.
feedback, well, these ladies deal with this on a day-to-day, and if we can make, if we can make their job easier, then, and, you know,
And offset cost.
and offset costs, then that would be our intent.
I don't know, I would have proposed, because we had this issue before with the tempering, I would have went up on that cost.
Okay.
I mean, that is just me, like when you're charging, to shut off and come back $50, right? Tempering, I would have,
Much.
I would have do higher on the tempering, on the first offense.
The tampering tracks the state statute
Yeah,
as far as the cost. So I don't know if we can go higher than the state statute that talks about it.
and is it,
The tampering is just a lock, so they're already being charged $50 for the trip. So I charged $25 for additional trip plus the cost of the lock. So I don't know how much more and above I can go.
Okay,
with that.
I'm thinking more of the. getting
the fine,
service.
you're thinking about the fine,
No, I'm
right?
thinking more of getting the service, the dollar amount for that, yeah. I think that's probably kind of low, actually.
That's what I thought, I
Yeah,
would have
now
raised
looking
that.
at it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, is there anything else, Leslie?
No, related to this, that's it.
Okay, so when will we see this again?
We're aiming for the second meeting of June.
18.
Okay,
For discussion at that time?
Mhm.
Okay, then we can advertise.
so
it.
are you going to be using these suggestions though, when you start putting together the budget? Are you gonna be using these figures?
Budget, I don't think
Mm,
it's.
Not applicable to the budget. When you choose, when the board adopts these, a lot of these are operational in nature.
Right,
And when the board officially adopts those, we'll hopefully
big
make
impact.
those effective at the same time. So,
so this isn't considered income.
It is,
It
but it
is.
doesn't go on the tax bill because it's under the enterprise fund, so it's handled separately.
Okay, enterprise.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the idea of
Right,
the
okay.
statute is to try to recover sufficient revenues, take care of the cost and
Right.
expenses associated with the activity.
Right. Okay,
so then we'll jump to the next item.
Okay,
Okay.
one more,
Oh,
go back,
okay.
sorry. Gotcha. Removal of landscaping and utility assets, I mean, $50 or actual labor material, okay.
We,
I mean, if it's sod, yes, but if it's like shrubbery and everything, you gotta call for, 811.
we have one in off of Teak. I think it's. He has a huge cactus plant that's overgrown and it's right on top of the meter box. And he's a 80-year-old man and is not capable of or willing to really do anything to get rid of the plant. So right now it's still there. We haven't addressed it, but we would charge him the cost for removing it off of our easement.
It's a what on these meters?
It's a huge one of those cactus plants. They grow out like 4 feet wide.
It's in a pot
No, it's in the ground.
and
In the
it's
ground, it's literally like.
next to
ground.
his meter.
Mhm.
There's one in Silver Lake, that's what I think that it's like.
Welcome to Gateway.
Where?
I think it's off Teak Road.
Teak Circle?
Yeah, Teak Circle.
You got a machete?
I got round up.
But it's right.
There was some strange people on that road, but that one surprises me.
Is
Yeah.
there anything else for this item?
No.
Okay. Moving on.
Keep them going.
So this is going back to the, or do you want to take this?
No, you guys.
Okay.
She loves talking.
No, I don't. I really don't, believe it or not. So these are some of the big ticket items that we're looking to address that I have heard at least a couple times since I started here, the deposits. As of right now, we do not return deposits until the account is closed. So most utilities refund it after a
All
set time.
utilities. All utilities.
All
refund
utilities.
it.
All utilities, other than Gateway,
Yeah,
refund it after a set time period. Average, it's between 1 to 2 years, and that you're in good standing with the utility. We also don't accrue interest on these, so, that's just something else to consider. Um,
so we're looking for a recommendation. Do you want to keep it as is or change it? Refund the deposit. And any deposits going forward would accrue a set.
So it's a record-keeping nightmare for us then.
Yeah.
yes,
This is ridiculous.
well, it's record-keeping nightmare no matter which way you cut it.
Right.
Somebody's always gonna be using.
The easiest right now is when the account's closed. They don't get it until the account's closed. If you set a timeline for 2 years, then we have to track every
Track it.
single different account.
Why would we want to do? Why are we initiating? What we have isn't broken. Why would we want to change it?
Because they want their money back.
People, we have 1 or 2 residents a year who
1 or 2 out of
contest or
7,000?
challenge their deposits. And because no other utility is doing that, they question whether or not it's,
So this board and the district operating its own utility just chooses to make its own rules and regulations. And you as a board have that right to keep it until the account is closed. But again, these are operational things that have come up during, at least like I said, 2 times since I've been here, that we want clarification from the board.
I've heard this, but
Yeah,
Once or twice a year, it's not worth changing.
some here
Why
with the.
Why go through that record keeping?
that I know of. It is,
2 people talking, it's infinitesimal amount.
Well, what if we just do it as if they requested? Like if they, you know what I mean? So actually.
Don't want to do that. A goodie bag, everybody wants their.
But it's also doing us no good because we make no interest on the money. It is like FPL, do you have a deposit? Like, I'm putting myself on their shoes. It's, you put in a deposit for a reason of
You gave it to them when you moved,
Can-
what, 10 years ago? That
Can-
50
50.
50 years ago?
I don't even know. I make no money, probably Tim did. So I'm inclined of, I know it's more work, but I'm inclined on giving them deposit back, because that's what it's for, is a deposit within the whatever,
You get it
whatever
back when
time.
they move. Terminate.
Ed, we probably still have yours. So we probably still have yours.
You haven't missed it.
How long have you lived here?
Gives you a reason to leave. Take this money.
And can
You're
it
not-
be
Are you
applied
getting
to their
interest?
final bill?
Buzz,
excuse me,
Can it be applied to their final bill, or do they have
It's
to pay their
currently-
final bill and then you send the money back?
currently it is applied towards their final bill
Okay,
and it's mailed back to them by check after it's processed.
How much money we generally talking? Is this a
You
lot
can
of money?
Scroll down, I have.
200, $200, something like that. I'm
but
sorry.
he's talking about,
I brought it up last August, I was one of the,
Okay.
we'll take a comment from the community, I looked over this for over a year.
If you want to speak, I mean, I don't mind, but I would like, I would like for you to, speak. That's it.
I appreciate this. I'm Vince LaFredo. I live in, on Bluestone Circle in Stony Brook. Last August, I brought that up to the board. And, Chelsea was good enough the next day to send me how it stood. It looks like it's under debits on our financial statements. And at that time, it was $868,000. So when I'm looking at this thing and I'm looking at the economy right now, you've got that money sitting there with no interest. I said, give the option to the people to request their deposit back. It's not a ton of money to each one of us homeowners. But the fact is, take it, split it 4 ways and put it into a CD interest-bearing account. You could pick up 40 grand right now if you split it up 4 ways, just stagger them. And then this way you've got revenue coming in. That would offset this dog park. I was just looking at this. And you look at what you're losing there. But this money has been sitting there for so long. And I just, give us an option. If people want the refund back, I've got no problem. I've lived here 9 years. That doesn't bother me. It's just that the money sits.
What is the dollar? What is it, about $200 per house?
It's $200 per house, yeah. For me,
So 2 meters, $200.
$200.
So what would be wrong with just taking, having that the next month's bill, it'll be applied toward the bill?
I mean, you could do it the way you want. It's
I'd
like
keep
you
the
say,
paperwork down.
yeah, whatever you think is right. I just look at money sitting there for an organization. that's-
Well, I agree with you saying with the money, we ought to be.
Make
something
it
that's-
work.
Tony,
Make it
can we
work.
do that?
Well, that's one thing I'm thinking because I've been involved in litigation before about does the interest follow the corpus? You know, and who does it belong to? Who does the deposit really belong to? And there are a number of, and I'd have to do their research again, update it as to whether or not we would be entitled to get the interest or not.
That's why. I was
Yeah.
asking that.
There are some constitutional issues about the takings clause and all kinds of fun aspects.
Oh, and if you do the interest and we don't get to keep it, that just
Well, that's ridiculous.
complicates the hell out of it.
Well, and quite frankly, my experience with, it was a clerk of courts in Cuyahoga County, this was back years ago. And in the record keeping, having to maintain allocating it to the particular accounts. How do you do that? And it just becomes an administrative pain in the neck, quite frankly.
Well, that's why I didn't want to do anything with it, but I
But-
mean,
but-
as far as refunding it, I like keeping the money. $100, $200, somebody goes to dinner, doesn't go. But I'd like to see the money working for us. But I wouldn't want to see it if we have to then.
But
keep
the
track
eight,
of-
but the 868 is accurate. That's what we have in that account.
Last August, what you had sent me. I don't
mean,
know.
This
56.
But still, it's a lot of money.
right in
Yeah.
front of you is the numbers,
Hell of a lot of
the
money.
estimate for.
I mean, we ought to be making money on that regardless of any other thing we talk about.
And let's go, let's go so far as have Tony check that, verify that, because I totally agree. If we can find out and collect the interest and use it,
Yeah,
And interest among different utilities is not all the same. So like Cape Coral does 0. Other utilities charge 1% to 3%. So there's no consistency when it comes to interest on
It's
deposits.
funny,
Well, yeah, and the question is, the interest rate varies upon where we have the funds in a particular depository.
well, the first hurdle is, can we keep the interest?
And they vary.
If we can't, why are we doing this?
well,
And nowadays we get all the variable interest rates floating out there. I mean, it's,
well, the first hurdle is should we give the money back after 2 years or not? And I, for one, would just say, let's just keep it. Give it to them when they leave, because that's the easiest thing administratively to handle. But I like the idea that if we can use that money and gain interest and use it for the district, that benefits all of its residents.
you be opposed of even if it's after, let's see, 2 years to
Yeah.
just credit their
It's
next
still,
bill?
it's still a pain in the butt to have to follow up and do. I mean,
Well,
we
the
lived 9
system,
years
no,
without
the
it.
only,
The-
the
they'll be
billing
automatic.
system does all the tracking. So the billing system
Yeah.
will automatically apply the
So every
deposit
2 years?
to the bill.
it-
We're gonna get money interest on it. let's
No,
say
if
it's
we
the
get
end.
interest, I would say we
Then we
keep
keep
it.
it.
But
So
if
let's
we're
answer
not-
that one in first.
Yeah, but if we're not gonna get it, then I would like you to give it back, if it's an automatic,
An automatic process. that you have to keep
process,
track
then
of.
after
An
2
automatic
years,
process, the
it'll-
interest on what has already been billed will have to be tracked manually.
Do we know categorically that everybody that has left got their money back? And it's not still tied up to the address?
No, Vicky does the processing of all the deposits. And then at the end of the year, Infomark will call her
So
or.
we don't have any money sitting in this account that's unassigned that was not given back.
like previous owners.
No.
That didn't happen. Okay, good.
To find out about that, Tony, about if we can
Was that the only
legitimately
item on
earn the
this?
interest.
Was that the only item on this?
yes, sir.
Or was there one?
If we can keep the money, then we ought to keep it.
Yeah, Well,
agree.
and again, you have to recognize a governmental utility is different than a private utility.
So that's what I was.
Because the whole idea about the
Final
taking
bill
clause and the US Constitution.
Keep it or not, Tony. It's simple.
Let's
yes or
find
no.
out.
That applies to
Thank you.
government, it's not to
Yeah.
private property.
I say that,
just tell us yes or no.
Yeah, just give me a yes or no.
I'm
The
leaning
other-
towards.
Flip
the-
notes version.
Moving on.
Moving on.
The other
Don't make
part
it
of-
complicated, Tony, just yes or no.
Can't even get low at it. Tony,
Complicated
without
topic, I got
complicated.
So we have
Okay.
one more thing as part of this conversation or presentation. Go ahead, Leslie.
Is the final bill refunds. Currently, like Lee County, they do this process. If your bill is $5 or less, they do not refund it. And unless you give them written request. It's not a lot of money. I showed the
Well, 60
number of
cents for a
accounts.
stamp.
Right, so that was the administrative cost of trying to hunt down $1.29 is more.
No, rounding error, leave alone.
Okay.
It's one person's opinion.
How does everyone else feel?
The one question just went away.
No change. Right now, you just keep it.
Right,
Okay, all right.
unless
No
written
change.
request, unless they write.
All right. Anything else? Anything else for Leslie? All right, thank you. So we'll follow up with Tony and hopefully have something back to you sometime in June.
Where do we have that resolution regarding the leak, like if we have a leak, then if it's more than 50% of what your previous bill is, and if you can show the repair, you know what I'm talking about?
Is that your,
Oh, like the refund.
Yeah. I've not been able to find, I don't know if Tony is aware of, a resolution where the policy regarding,
I couldn't
the
find one
leak.
either, okay.
I can only find the
Sorry, go ahead.
policy that was written up by the staff at the time. So there is rules in referencing adjustments, but it doesn't go into the particular details like is 50% of the average of the two bill, if it's a good standing, and how much the threshold of how many gallons it's allowed to be credited. I can't find a resolution.
And that can be part of, I guess, an overall amendment.
Right.
Take care of it.
so again, cleaning things up. Okay. Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you, Leslie.
The only thing I have is, I will be on vacation next week. I'll be in North Carolina, but I will have my phone on me. Laura will be here, so, but if you do need me, you can email me or you can call me, please, on my personal phone. Like I said, I'll be checking emails, the, Tetra Tech's handling the, CEI of the roundabout. We also have staff popping in and out and keeping an eye on it. Contractors have all of our phone numbers. If anything comes up, but I'm gonna knock on wood. And that's all I have. Do you have anything else?
Oh,
For those of you that didn't already know, but I think you already do, we did launch the new accounting software on Monday. So, I'm sure to somebody who hasn't gone through this before, it looks like it's not going very well, but it actually is going very well, for a software implementation. So I'm pretty happy. I've already been taking advantage of being able to get in there and see things, which I couldn't see before. So, working through some stuff with Sonia and Steven as far as processes, who's gonna do what and all of that, but, it's actually really going, I think it's going pretty well.
One last thing. I know I've heard from Carol, but if anybody else would like to meet prior to the 18th, for the district manager review, Tony, there is an agenda item in Granicus, so if you have any of the board members that provide those, I did put my self-review, and Carol's review sheet in Granicus already for, the board packet for the 18th.
Okay, and my perspective, then might.
You're the compiler,
Yeah,
is
okay,
my
that's it.
understanding, what the
Yep.
board
Okay,
said
so
at the
then I
last
just
meeting.
send mine, 'cause I have mine completed, I would just send mine to you.
Just making sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Try, we're sending them to Tony.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I've got. Yeah. Tony, you're up.
Let's see, looking at a number of items, I'm just trying to think, I don't know if any particular questions from board members on items. This is informational, I don't want to have any discussion at this time. I think you're all aware of the fact there was, with regards to the bid that was awarded to extreme divers, there was a bid protest filed by Earthview. Under the rules of the district manager then has 10 days to render a decision on the bid protest. Chelsea rendered that decision on Tuesday, and that decision was to reject the appeal and demand for really reject the bid protest. Under the rules also, then that was forwarded to the petitioner, I'll call it the objector, at Earthview, and they had 2 days in which to request, or 5 days actually, 5 days to request that, to object to it and have it heard by the board. That objection was filed yesterday. So I'll work with Laura while Chelsea's gone, and also Chelsea, on scheduling that before the board's consideration. I don't want,
On May 18th.
I'm sorry?
On May 18th.
Well, that's the game plan. The goal is to have it on May 18th.
In the meantime, we can't proceed with any of the work on the.
That's correct.
No notice to proceed could be issued.
Correct.
This is resolved.
No, the contract signed until it's resolved. And again, so the agenda packet will have all the materials with regards to that, that particular matter. And we'll work with Chelsea and more. With regards to, I'm setting up a call next week as a follow-up, have a call with Joe Adams in the county attorney's office to discuss the statute that they found that requires a letter from a certain percentage of the residents in the community before the county were to convey a county road to that community. So I'm following up with Joe on that.
A letter from the board or the,
Or vote, basically to vote from the, it's a number, it's a percentage of the property owners requesting that they obtain the property. So I'll have that conversation with Joe and I'll report back to the board. Our conversation.
so if we transfer it to them, which is what we're proposing to do, they have to have a vote of the community accepting
Or
it.
support. Let me find the exact statute there.
So then I think we better have a meeting with that board to let them know that if that's the case, because I'll make the motion, we close down the guardhouse.
So are
They
we,
need to understand that that guardhouse goes if the vote doesn't go through.
so Tony, while
This is
you're researching,
wasted
I know
time.
I'm not multitasking, so are we talking about, is this something to do with the 2/3 that is required when their HOA
Well,
budget's gonna go higher than
No,
5%?
this is the statute he cited. And again, I have not had a conversation with them. And have not had a chance to, this came in Monday. I have not had a chance to double check this assertion about the application. That no fewer than 4/5 of the owners of record of property located in the subdivision have consented in writing to the abandonment and simultaneous conveyance. Now, so the conversation I'm gonna have with them is, we're not really treating it as abandonment, it's a conveyance. So that's what, I wanna have that conversation, say. That's why it's kind of premature. I just wanna let you know, I have that note from him. We're gonna talk Tuesday about a possible.
Well, did
difference
this
of
just come
opinion.
up? Because I've got a letter that indicates they want 3 things and that's not one of them.
Okay, so this came up May 1st. He said, this is additional research. I'll have a conversation with him on Tuesday and report to the board on the 18th. with
When did
regards
yours
to-
get in?
Somehow we've got mine stated April 28th. We've got to have a meeting with that HOA over there to let them know and make sure that they make the residents understand why we're doing this. If they know that things like that guardhouse are gonna go by the wayside, they got a problem. They got a problem.
Well, I guess part of the question, and we haven't finalized our conversation with the county staff, is point number one, what are the requirements that they believe are applicable? Number two, whether that, I'll call it the instantaneous transfer from the district, the county, instantly to the HOA, whether that requires the gatehouse to come down or not, because if the county just owns it for a short period of time, I'm not aware of any law that precludes the county from having gates on its roads.
Having what?
Get guardhouse on the road for a short period of time before it conveys it. You know, if it's all, I think the concept was, it'd be a short-term ownership.
yeah.
So the idea of having to close it down, if it goes from district to the county and to the HOA, boom, boom, just like
Well,
that.
I'm looking at it
He's-
from a
yeah.
different perspective. I'm looking at
They
it from
don't
the
wanna do it.
perspective that they understand that if they don't vote to accept this, we'll close down the guardhouse.
We cannot close it down. We cannot prohibit the public from entering.
No, that's.
Oh, not operate it. No, it's not operated.
No,
Yes.
not operating it.
Yeah.
I understand. Okay, that's
There'll be
different.
But there'll be nobody there.
Okay,
Yeah, there'll be a guard, there may be a building there, but there won't be anybody in there checking.
Like
now I
Silver Lake.
understood.
Silver Lakes has it. They have a guardhouse, but it's.
Ceasing operation of
Yeah.
staffing and manning.
That's right,
Okay,
because we
understand.
gotta put an end to this. This is just like today at the beginning of this meeting. This is just, let them have this thing and do what they want.
Yeah,
Why are we doing this? This is just ridiculous.
Yeah, again, once I get the date and time, if Laura's available, she wants to be there.
But my point is that the board, because I'm hearing some feedback that the board may not want to do this, that their association, they may not want to accept it. Well, I've got from Cecil that, hey, that's one thing, and I agree with him that they don't want to go out and be the bad guy and just pass this off to them. They want some consensual deal. Now, he did not tell me about the deal of a vote of the community. If we're gonna have a vote of the community, I just
Well, it's a
question,
consent, it's actually, it's consent, it says,
well, I question just to how much the community is going to hear the whole story if it comes from them. What we need to be preparing is our side as to why we want to do this. It will be a eye opener to a lot of the people up there that think they got something they don't really have.
again, let me have the conversation with Joe.
But
But
we-
if this is an additional requirement that 4/5 of the property owners have to consent in writing,
How much?
4/5. It's not just a vote,
80%.
they have to consent in writing.
80%, you know,
80% have to
No,
consent.
okay, that's the statute that Joe has provided. That's why, and I'm gonna have the
He's
conversation,
researching.
whether I believe it's applicable.
you're
If
not
it
ever
is,
gonna get 80%
You
of
can't get
people to
80%
agree
people
to
get free
anything.
lunch.
I think you can over there for one reason.
Once it.
That guardhouse, that guardhouse is the big deal. They find out that guardhouse is on the deal to be gone. That is totally what they want over there. They want to be able to have, like every other community that doesn't have this crazy requirement, that it's public roads. They're all private. They're the only ones.
understood.
Okay.
Yeah, if do you have a question or not? Or-
Well, if that doesn't get them, the other one that's gonna get them is I can tell you right now, my vote for Stony Brook will be that the capital reserve is what the capital reserve company came up with. And the 10,000 is gonna go to 220,000, be in their budget.
Again, let me have the meeting with Joe and we'll come back.
Well, we need an answer to
Bring a
that
memo to the
quickly.
board about
By
what
the
the county's position is. On the 18th, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, well, to get the memo in time after having the meeting's gonna be possible challenge, but then we'll have it as an agenda
Yes.
item. Just working in Pelican Reserve on the, working with the staff and working with Bob on the location of various easements the district has and the whole idea about golf course having vegetation that might be maintained by the district's contractor. Pelican Reserve Community Association's property. Bob was able to wrangle the golf course survey out of the golf course owner. And it's a 28-page survey.
Wish
Look
we
at
had-
him.
Wish we had that last year.
Yeah.
No,
which we had
when I saw that, I'm going, I spent how much time, and they've outlined all the instruments that affect the golf course, but in doing so, they also, they did a very good job of all the lot lines and showing all the easements, and
It's gold.
it's more than gold, yeah, whatever. What is it, what's the most valuable metal now? Iridium,
Who did it?
iridium, or?
I got it.
RWA.
No,
I'm gonna use
it- it's-
Can you get
so,
one for Stony Brook?
Passerella will get that, and they'll have the opportunity to,
Well, that was
Okay,
through the
yeah. it's gold. It's-
cooperation of Heritage Golf. They're the ones that provided it. I knew they had it.
Well, they had to have it for
I
the
knew
sale.
they had it. We
Yeah.
watched them do it for a year and a half, but it took 5 months to finally get it.
But yeah, no, it's saved,
you,
it would
Bob.
have saved a ton of time. They're good. Yeah.
Well, it's for the landscape work group and, it's been shared with, Passarella and they're now gonna make maps layering. And, the other component of that was part of it with Passarella. Anyway, it's moving. Oh, Passarella is trying to get the CAD version from RWA.
That's a lot of work.
So that we should do it, so.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
So
Madam President?
agenda management, again, we have the next couple dates lined out, this subject to change based on, well, we've already changed it because we have a workshop
Workshop.
on the 16th, but again, trying to push through, get a lot of projects and a lot of things off our plate. And we are knee deep in budget right now. I think haven't come up from my computer, and Laura too, for the last 2 weeks.
Seriously, it's that bad.
So, but please make note on the 18th. I know we heard some comments and I know during my final walkthrough with Silver Lakes, one of the comments that was made today by Margaret was about the cleaning
Stony
of
Brook.
Stony Brook, yes, was the pipe cleaning. So, I mean, we're gonna be at 90% design, for the next, year 2024 ponds, if these nuances that we're learning from now, let's add them in. Let's tell Tetra Tech, we want the pipe cleaning. We already made the decision on the bubblers. We made the decision on the littorals. So I want to do it. We want to do it right.
Yeah, notwithstanding those couple of nitpicking items. What changed this time was the quality of the construction overall. That's what concerned me. It
So-
was totally different
You
than
talking
what
about
we
volume
have
62
seen.
again?
I'm sorry.
62.
Yes.
58, yeah.
Okay, okay.
So
And
the
58.
contractor's moving to Daniels Preserve next. We've gave notice to the community, given them 2 weeks to remove all their items from the LME and the area that the contractor would be working, but,
I missed the email. Remember I asked for you guys to send, because I know Randy was working with Al on the board.
okay. I get BCC'd, so I have no idea, so
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
remind-
I thought they were coming over to Gateway. And all of a
Contractor,
sudden, I-
contractor said that they want to go to Daniels, so that's where they're moving to next.
I have one thing regarding the pond stuff, just of yesterday's, I know Bob was here too, yesterday's, presentation from Dr. Harmon regarding the sod.
Uh-huh.
So I flat out ask, we're spending millions of dollars on lake pond restoration, and right now there are multiple areas that we have no signs of the virus whatsoever on those ponds. Would it be wise for the district to go ahead and use palmetto instead of Floritan? The cost is, I researched it, so the palmetto, it's like 5 cents cheaper. So the cost will be equal. I think going forward, we can just take the proactive approach to just go ahead and start installing Floritan. Because I mentioned that, guys, before we started Silver Lakes. Just knowing that the new Floritan sod is gonna be more prone to get the virus because it's newer.
So why fool with it?
So that's something that we will add in here.
90%, yes, absolutely, bring that up. Again, if you have anything that you'd like staff to be working on or reprioritizing, please bring it up now. Again, we're trying to fill some of these vacant positions, constantly doing interviews of utility director. We've got Andrew on as Public Works. Got a couple vacancies for the operator, utility operators, and hoping to fill these, but I think the conversation with you all with regards to staffing and the comps that we found, it's gonna be an interesting conversation. Just as a comment, salaried staff were closer than the hourly staff when it comes to the comps that we found. Understanding, especially in our utility, there are a lot of nuances because we expect our staff to do water, sewer, and irrigation, whereas other entities, they expect one person to do water, one person to do sewer, one to do irrigation. So, but again, we're knee deep in budget. We'll get you the documents by Monday, sometime Monday that you requested.
Yep.
And if you need anything, like I said, I'm out next week, but if you guys need anything, or if you want to reprioritize this, let us know. I know Tony's working on a handful of items and interlocals. We're still waiting on the modeling for the FGUA thing. Tony's reviewing that, the interlocal agreement, and we're making progress.
So right now we have 5 open positions, because I saw we also lost somebody in the pool.
Yes. Jack John Jingleheimer Smith.
Okay, so we have 5, and nothing with, Kenny's old position, nothing.
That we've constantly interviewed. We just had another interview last week. We have another one next week.
So, and we got summer coming up too. So for pool positions, it might open up some available interest. I do have one thing, Chelsea. Can you just direct staff to do some due diligence on the item that Rod Senior brought up at the last meeting?
I already told you about that.
The
Second opinion.
the guy's name?
From Naples.
Pirelli.
Yes.
Yeah. Just have staff do some due diligence on it,
Yeah,
see
if
what's
the board-
viable.
The board wishes, I can do that.
You mean contacting the attorney?
Yeah.
If he thinks that there's an opportunity to do it, it sure as hell could put some money in our pocket.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's any harm for staff to look into it. Let's just, let's do our due diligence.
Can make a call if that's the direction of the board.
Does anybody have a problem with that?
If we just,
Is,
What do
is,
we
is it,
need?
is it a is it a cost? I think it was like an $8,500 cost, right, for the attorney to review it.
Well,
I think
let's
it
start
was
with
the
due
cost.
diligence. Let's
I'll
start with due
with the
diligence
call.
and
Okay.
then,
Yeah, just Peggy's bringing as to what do you know that thinks it's got an opportunity,
Okay,
that it's illegal, what they did.
okay. I can do that if that's clear.
Right. Do you wanna go to, for the, press comments? Are you done?
I'm done yet,
All right.
unless
so-
you have anything else.
No, good, Carol?
Yeah, we all got, the, excuse me, email from Chelsea about Mr. Myers and the dog park and, Tim's, side of the story, so to speak. And I was wondering if anything else has happened on that.
I have not, waiting on direction from the board, call it back. I do, think that if we do choose to, revoke his pass, that it be for perhaps 6 months or a year and not perpetuity, with no refund, of course.
Try 30
we
days?
need a vote to do it. I mean, I don't care.
30
6
days.
months, 90 days. But I clearly want to support the staff and Tim on that.
I wanna support the staff absolutely on it, but I think, I'm
much-
trying
how
to
much
think, I'm
time's
trying, I'm
appropriate?
trying to think like if, what if this happened at the pool with, high schooler, like, would it be, what would we tell them? Would we tell them 30 days? Cause I want it to be consistent. I
I
want
don't
to
think 30 is enough for what he did.
so then
Well, I
6
didn't
months.
get, I didn't get that he saw him do it. I didn't see that.
No, but he said he
He,
volunteered that he did it. He said he did it.
And he said he didn't. So
Well,
we got a he said,
then
she
it-
said.
No, that's not a he said, she
yeah,
said.
and I think
That's
he
him
kind
backing
of
up.
mentioned at the meeting.
Here's-
The tape and stuff, so.
what,
ahead,
what I would probably do is, because there might be some conflicting information, without having any hard facts, I would do maybe 60-day, just so they're saying, we have to send a message. You cannot tamper with our facilities. And in this situation, maybe there's not quite hard evidence. I think maybe a little slap on the wrist, but knowing that if any indication of any, further abuse of property would be a permanent dismissal. Let's meet somewhere in the middle. I think like 6 months or a year might be a little harsh, but
I would go along with that, and Doug, and I would further add that not only for this particular individual, but in future instances, it ought to be a form of progressive discipline. If 90 is the starting point, 6 months is the second, permanent revocation is the third.
Yep. And it's
Okay.
also based on
It's
severity
actually
too.
Severe.
Unless it's something that's catastrophic or
Yes.
whatever, hitting somebody or,
So, 90, you said?
I think 90 is appropriate.
Yeah, 90.
Okay, 90.
90,
Well-
6 months.
6 months
And permanent.
permanent.
Yeah.
And if we're setting a precedent, it would be if there was damage done, that person would be responsible for damage or repairs. Now, we don't have to do this in this instance, but I'm saying moving forward, if we want to set a precedent, because if I caught someone tampering with the lights at the field, and they broke a lock and then did something like, permanently removing them, but also they have to cover the cost of the expenses. And that would be, that's,
Correct.
and whether or not that's criminal.
That, in that case, if we had that type of information, we'd file a police report and pursue.
Yeah,
in that
exactly.
direction.
Yeah,
But-
agree.
Okay, we will notify, Mr. Myers that it'll be, would you like to be retro from, the meeting date?
I'd probably say so.
Make
I
it
mean,
time served.
Yeah.
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 Start from wherever.
The 90 days.
he'll be on his best behavior
Yeah.
moving forward.
Okay. And does that include the dog?
That includes the
someone
dog.
else take
The dog didn't temper.
Yeah,
It was brought up.
Yeah.
I had to,
Do what
Yeah,
now?
no,
The
no,
dog, I think that the dog's
Okay.
excluded.
The owner can't come, but his dog. can.
guilty by association.
Someone else is taking his dog.
Yeah.
You love it, Ed.
Okay.
Oh, someone else is taking his dog to the
Yeah,
park?
which is-
well, and that is a good question. I mean, whether or not you're allowed to bring someone else's dog to the park, but we don't have to address that today.
I just heard
If it's,
for that
if,
person.
if the dog is registered,
That
Ah,
person
but
needs
it-
to register their dogs.
Not to
That's
open
just
that
what
can of worms.
Tim-
I think on this one, because enforcement, I think we just.
Yeah, I think we've
Yeah.
taken enough steps.
Okay, all right.
They say it looks like that dog, but it's not his dog, it's my dog.
Got the same.
Same name.
Yeah, yeah.
just leave me the.
Okay, so we'll backdate it to the date of,
Glad you brought that up, Carl.
That's all I had.
And we did send out that, so I'll pick back on hers, we sent an email to to all
All the dog truck,
users.
yes,
And then I guess maybe a follow-up email on the 60-90 and permanent.
yes.
Then they have a follow for the pool as well.
I say for
Everything.
anything, for
Should.
anything, soccer,
Yeah,
fun
why not
park,
suggest-
anything.
Yeah, I'd
Policy.
suggest come back as a policy too.
Policy,
Yeah.
okay.
Ratify at the next meeting.
Those
In that
parks and rec rules and regulations that PrAC is working on, we'll have them incorporated in that.
There we go. Okay, so Ed,
Nothing.
Rob,
As Tony alluded to, we're making good progress. The first time I said that, on the landscape easement issues. We are getting ready, I believe, hopefully by the end of next week, to have the first 4 or 5 parcels that we need to get either a grant of easement or a license agreement. Identify them. So we are moving forward. Is the construction completed for the construction road back gate and everything?
Yes, yes.
Totally done.
Yes, yes.
All right, that's off my list.
I will tell you that we had a snafu with the city of Fort Myers and their record keeping for permitting, thinking that we did it without permits. So we resolved that last week with their code enforcement office.
Yeah.
All right, very good.
I know I paid for those.
I passed out to my fellow board members a document that said how much Pelican paid for putting pond signs. This was a topic of discussion the last time, and we average cost of $23 a pond, so I'll just put that out as a piece of information.
installed and all?
Installed and all.
Who installed?
Well, we had our guy
volunteers?
install it. No, the guy.
The maintenance
Maintenance
guy that
guy.
we.
Our regular maintenance guy, but that included a black round post,
Oh,
a cap on it, a dome cap,
like the nice ones.
we don't
They're
do it
fine.
halfway, we do it right, you know, all of our signs are nice. And self-drilling screws. Self-drilling screws? No, so anyway, just throw that out. 'Cause I
Who was
think we
the
should-
vendor? Cause I just,
So we
I can
have,
do
Yeah,
this
I can
audit
get-
on
we-
Parks and Recs and
I
I
can
just
get
saw
to
how
the
much we
vendors that
spent.
we have
for-
probably 2 to 3 signs per pond. We have 70 ponds, 210 signs we need.
Okay, we had
Ballpark.
58 ponds, we did 47 of them. Because some were isolated by golf course and, you know, you didn't need to have anybody around there. And of the 47, it was $893 for the post thing, which is most expensive, and the dome caps was another 150. And then the screws was $20.
So we could be $5,000.
Oh, it's not gonna, we spent $1,000.
Well, we got a lot more ponds, but
Anyway.
the problem is that a sign at one location, the rest of the pond is a mile away.
Pond is identified and people know what pond they live on. Anyway, I don't want to belabor that. Oh. Received, okay, we just talked about, we got the survey from the Heritage Golf Course, and that helped us a lot. The gas line hookup for our natural gas generator at the guardhouse is gonna happen tomorrow. So we take that one off of our list. And last but not least, the Weir project is continuing. We are ahead of schedule on ponds, on Weirs 2, 3, and pond 38. Everything is in except for the guardrail, and we haven't removed the corrugated steel from the cofferdams. We're real close, and they still think they'll be done and out of there before the 1st of June.
We're real close.
Yeah.
We're.
Good
It's
job.
It's late, it's late.
Well, we're almost at 5 hours, and I'd hate to go it early. That's all I.
Okay, I just have a few questions, so what is it?
Doug too, don't forget.
Yeah.
Okay. Doug, go ahead.
Yeah, I just have 2 quick things. That as we're looking at budgeting, I know we had mentioned events and stuff like that. I would love to see us focus some more attention on our senior population. So, you know, maybe we could look at doing some type of senior event once a year in conjunction with like our tree lighting or a July 4th type thing. And in addition, as we're looking at amenities, especially in the new commons area, I think anytime we look at adding amenities, we need to make sure that those amenities are balanced throughout the demographic of the population. So as we put in, you know, a playground, let's make sure we have like a bocce court or a walking trail or just something that's going to offset. Because I think if we focused a little bit more attention on balancing our amenities and programs for all the demographic, I think it'd be more accepting from the total population when we're doing these things.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
So just, the Hampton Park, I know you met with them yesterday.
That's right.
Yeah.
We did.
Their board resigned again,
Again,
for the second time. But we
Third.
did,
They have a board
third.
of one right now.
So Laura and I went yesterday to present all of the easements that were needed as part of the admin building.
There's probably like 40 people there, actually.
Yeah. We physically handed them the easement documents that Tony prepared with all of the exhibits and asked them to have their attorney review. They asked when they needed these, when we needed these by, I told them yesterday, 2 days ago, actually now. And they are working diligently on building another board and, hopefully getting these approved sooner.
This
rather
isn't
than
the
later.
issue that's causing the,
No,
No.
it's not
No.
holding up progress by
No,
any
no,
means.
the resignation, is that what you was gonna ask?
yeah, what's
No.
causing them to quit?
There's a handful of issues. I will say that the gentleman who had, stepped up as president unfortunately passed away this past Sunday. And that struck a lot of the board members,
Is that-
You step up, you down.
Okay.
Bill Piper. And that struck a chord with a lot of the members that were serving on the HOA board. And so, like Laura said, they're a board of one right now and they're trying to get them filled again and go back.
So
out.
just keep us posted on that. I reviewed the insurance claim, spreadsheet and I'm assuming you're able to update it.
Yeah, I had it.
Okay, so then that's something that I can go to the share folder and find it, like
No,
all
it's
of us? Okay, so then,
Three places to remember to keep it.
okay, I just, that, and then I attended the resilience, town hall meeting at Gateway, Elementary, and I just think this was a miss. I think maybe this should have been sent out to the board, as a FYI, so, we could all attend it and maybe Randy or you, because there were some stuff there that prompt a lot of question regarding FEMA claims for us.
Mhm.
So I was gonna ask you if we can, by next meeting, give me, what was the total amount of dollars that could have been, file a claim with FEMA that made you make the decision of not to file a claim? Like, was it a dollar amount that made the decision? for you?
No, it's the process for FEMA. If you have insurance, you are required, they will deny you immediately if you have insurance and if you do not go to your insurance provider first. And then if you don't have coverage over that, then public assistance, would cover us, whereas if you as Flavia resident, you would apply for individual
So
assistance.
so we definitely need to revise that insurance claim because I don't think it has hours of work of employees, because that's not covered, but FEMA would be covered, because I just know another entity that was able to get just on that alone $600,000, and if there's money out there that we can get it out, and it is not too late, we can still file, I would say go for it.
The PA deadline might have passed already. So,
Yeah, that's why would it be good if somebody went to this meeting and like, so that, I definitely want us to start involving Randy and kind of letting him go with
We'll,
and stuff
we'll
like that.
evaluate his workload and
But,
make that
but
determination.
isn't that his position? So that's why I was really clear on, when we were sold on his position, that was like number one, the contract was number two. Now I absolutely 100% feel like we're restricting him from, doing his job or part of his job and not even allowing him to grow, because like there
This-
was many, there
this-
were many,
This is an administrative thing that I prefer to talk one-on-one.
but we
you have
did, so
concerns.
that's why I think the board needs to know, like, if there are opportunities that either I or Bob or Ed, we're bringing it up, like, look, there's an opportunity in communication, and this is the staff member that holds this under their task, and there's nothing that's being done, it doesn't necessarily has to be what was suggested, but nothing, I do have a problem with that, if that is his job description, I think we owe the residents to fulfill every employee what the job description is. Now, if there's a workload, then he has to evaluate it. That, I mean, he's been here for a while. So I just want us to look at that in depth.
Well,
of
please
their
keep in
opportunity.
mind that when you're emailing any staff, that you're using it as suggestion and not direction.
Absolutely.
So, and that's for
I-
all board members,
I-
please make it a suggestion and not direction, because then that puts staff in an awkward position. And then your idea or comment or notion may be different than Carol's. or Ed's. So
Total basically, I won't speak for the four, but I will tell you, I have not, I have been given many suggestions where issues came up from resident, like communication with Stony Brook. We talked about that, still haven't heard anything back on the samples of the emails, like now we're doing Daniels, still haven't heard anything back. We're actually working on Gateway Greens, nothing on that. So just, those are there are little things for us, but not for the residents, because they don't know anything. They don't know a pond number. So they need to have more communication, and we have a person for that. So that's me for
Well,
Randy.
but there's different, because a project manager is different than the information officer.
But he's both.
He is
Oh,
not a
he's not a
project,
project
he is not a
Oh,
project.
I'm sorry, he's contract manager and
And that's where there's a fine line between project management and being the PIO. Being the PIO, you're the communicator and the liaison between the residents, but being the project manager, I don't expect Randy to be inundated with questions about the pond bank project and specifics when that is the project manager's responsibility.
neither do I, but I expect him to tell the residents, here's what's going on. If you have questions, this is who you reach out to. That
agree.
is very simple.
I agree.
And that has not been happened.
Well,
This kind of sounds like a little bit, and I might be way off base here, but like when I had invited some staff people to come over when we were gonna do the walk of Pelican Reserve Boulevard the first time, and I wanted, Passarella there because they were firsthand on it, firsthand knowledge, and then people just arbitrarily were told not to come. Is it similar to that?
Well, it's similar. I'm
But-
gonna give you examples, so then like. The round,
Point is summaries.
but
Staff is here to support us.
we can understand exactly. So to me, the roundabout situation. So I was at the office and Randy went through like, hey, this is what I'm working on. And I'm like, great job. It was a huge list. And he's like, do you think I can do anything? And I'm like, no, you got a huge list. So I go back out and then I thought, you know what, the roundabout, it's coming up. And maybe it would be good for us to notify the schools, hey, we're not only notifying, but we're asking you to notify the parents to like prepare ahead of time. I think that's a good idea. And that's kind of how we left. So then so I didn't get an email. My kids are enrolled in 2 schools. So I was like, okay, I guess 2 schools fail. So again, the method of communicating with the school is not working. But then when I follow up with Randy, direction was given to me not to send it out because this is not a gateway project. And I said, well, I understand that it's not a gateway project, but it is in our it is in our community and we're doing a service to our residents. Let's over communicate. You know what I mean? I understand it's a county, but let's over communicate because the county didn't do it. So if the county did it, we over communicated. But I think those are the things I want nothing more to have educated residents and I want residents to be seeing transparency. So to me, that's the micromanager. To me, that's the little needy that he should be able to make that decision. If he felt like I don't need this, he makes that call. But those are the things and there are multiple of those items specifically regarding communication. So I think we either allow him to do more and if he makes a mistake, we guide him, but allow him to develop that because he has an itch for it. He has a passion. He likes doing it. I can tell the very little that I speak with him regarding that, he has a passion and I think we should utilize that across the board. So I do feel like kind of, I'm seeing it a little bit, almost like a blockage within staff, Chelsea. And I think this is the time for us to kind of regroup and not be the bridge, not the fence. And I feel like there's a fence.
And we all don't agree on everything, and I don't expect to have to go to get 5 people to ascend. Request that people come to meetings and things. It's more that I view staff. And if it's abusive, then you need to step up. But just to have people come to meetings and support groups and then be told not to come without a call to me, I mean,
Well,
You know,
Passarella was different because that's a
well, it was
contractor.
Passarella, but there was other people. It doesn't matter if it's a contract. If they're part of the process and they're in the pay field, we've got money to task to sign them. I mean, I had the one to Tony for doing the landscape thing, to begin with, that an approved project by Pelican, but yet there were problems with that at the beginning. And I'm trying to get this process to work better. And sometimes it seems like the tail's wagging the dog and we can't always come back and get 5 people to agree on something. So if staff is here to support the board, and I believe they are, and I think they do a great job, be broader in how supporting us.
So, understood.
Okay.
Understood. And I think this all goes back to the policies and procedures that Tony's been working on. But Understanding Randy reports to Laura and suggestions, I want them all day, every day. Like you provided a suggestion this morning specifically for prac. And talking with Randy, like, hey, we need to take this a step further and look at the district as a whole and encourage every resident to come as part of budget. So
So
I'm-
that's a clear example. So here's another one. So when I went to get to the meeting, I noticed that Parks and Recs is meeting tomorrow to get budget initiatives for us. So we're doing the budget initiative today. Technically, they should have that ahead to give it to us now. So and it was a suggestion. My email clearly says, hey, do you think it's a good idea to have Parks and Recs or post it on Facebook? Hey, Parks and Recs are meeting tomorrow. They're looking for budget initiatives from residents. If a resident wants a budget initiative, Parks and Recs, come to tomorrow's meeting. We don't have much time. The meeting is tomorrow. So I think that is a no-brainer. Like, hey, let me get this out on Facebook instead of, some of the stuff that's out there. Hey, short notice, we get it. Tomorrow, Parks and Recs are meeting. The Parks and Recs are looking for specifically budget initiative that you resident would like to see, so they can note it and bring it to the board. I think that's also what I believe when I say micromanagement. I think it's a no-brainer to me. And if he cannot make those decisions, then I feel like we're fencing him in. I think he should be able to make those decisions. It's important, and we are in a time constraint. We had to get this by June 15th. So those are the little things. They're so little, and they can be ironed out with, ASAP. I mean, that is just how I'm viewing it. I haven't been speaking with staff, and I will tell you this, Chelsea, and I will bring it up at your meeting. Let's focus and micromanage the stuff that is really big that needs to, but those little stuff, we need to let them grow and we need to let them fall, and then we'll tailor and we develop them there. But that is just my
but keep in
advice.
mind, it's the board's a policymaker and it's Laura and myself, Laura more so than myself, as his direct supervisor to help him grow in that and just that is our role from staff perspective. I want your feedback. But understood. I hear you guys.
Okay.
It's like you were sitting in on his review that.
So
And I'll share his response. And I don't want this to go back to him because I want him to open up, and because I do see he has a passion for it. But I mean, to Bob's point, if you're gonna want a policy from the five of us every time, because there are things that it's not gonna happen. That is not that at least for me, that is not what I envision you to do. I envision you to make the decision, and if it needs to, and allow your staff to make those decisions. So if you're gonna be looking for a policy from everything, if everything's gonna come out, well, make a policy and then we'll do that. Then I think we're creating red tape.
Okay.
I don't think that's the vision that we as a board have, and I'm not going to speak to the rest of the board, but
the policy I'm referring to is the board's interaction with staff. That's the policy I'm referring to. And just clarifying as a board what your vision is and mine as well.
So I will tell you mine and you guys can speak. My vision for staff, I think, as long as they're not giving directive to staff, which I can speak on myself, I have not, and I don't want to speak with the rest of you guys. They should be able to have their interaction. They should be able to call the staff. They should be able to show up at the office when they want. They should be able to send an email and ask their questions. You always refer us, oh, Lee County this. Do you think CISO has a policy that he is gonna follow to call somebody if he needs a question to? No. Right?
But we made that clear in the beginning.
So those are the things, unless you can say, look, no, there's board member B, and this is the time for us to be open and say, look, no, there is a board member that it is calling and giving directions, and we'll address that. But if that's not happening, Chelsea, then I do not want, because I can tell you, like, even when I ask staff questions now, it's this and then an answer. I don't want that. I don't want our staff to feel that way. And I don't want that to be a relationship between the board and staff and their superiors and themselves. I want us
Almost like they're
nip
afraid.
it now, because I'm feeling it and I'm speaking for myself. I'm feeling it from multiple staff members. That's how it is. So it's just a suggestion, a feedback. let's take a step back and see what can we do better on the communication part of us communicating via staff communicating with residents, and the staff communicating with board. That is my last thing. Was it good? 7 o'clock.
Recommend
I was
adjourn.
waiting for 7 o'clock, just so you know.
5-hour meeting.
Doug just commented that it's 7.
All right,
Thank you.
all right.
Actually, 5 hours or one.
Yeah, well, I was waiting for it.